communities in Iowa are like, and how they depend upon local small businesses as the lifeblood to provide them with essential goods and services. But you own a convenience store, and for some communities in my district, the convenience store is the only place where a resident can buy any type of groceries, the only place where they can buy gasoline to fuel their vehicles. And in fact, a good example of that is New Hartford, Iowa, which not only was hit with the tornado, the most powerful tornado in the United States this year, but less than 10 days after the tornado went through, the entire town had to be evacuated because of flooding. And there were stories of homeowners and business owners who had their business destroyed, moved into town, and then had it flooded out. So one of the things I'd like you to share with the panel is how critical providing immediate disaster response is, not just to the business owner, but to the people in that community, many of whom are making decisions on whether they're going to stay in a community and rebuild or move away to some other community, and how essential that is to the tax base of those devastated communities and to school enrollment and so many things that add to the quality of life of a city like Anamosa.
Well, as I mentioned in my speech or presentation, just the number of volunteers that come forward, and as he mentioned as well, Mr. Wilkie, those early days trying to decide what you're going to do, most of us kind of get into an automatic mode and you just start doing it without a lot of thought about how it's going to work, how you're going to pay for it. You just start cleaning and start the process, and all the volunteers come forward and do all this. The volunteers, for the most part, assume that you're getting aid somewhere.
Yeah.
That they assume that the government's going to come in and help. Over and over again, I had the questions about, so is FEMA help you take care of this? What's FEMA doing? Well, FEMA isn't really designed for businesses. So where are you getting money? Is SBA helping? Well, at this point, really unknown how it's all going to work out. A lot of questions remain. You don't want to jump through hoops too soon, because what's going to come later? Is there going to be, there's just so many unknowns. And that's what would help a business, is clearing those things up in the early stages, so you know what is going to be available, what do you have to do, how much is it going to be, what can happen to make it work. But the community, the people in the community, I don't know really how they'd respond if I closed my doors now after they spent 6 weeks working there. The reason my sales are back up to what they are is because the only other convenience store in town is a Casey's, and here you won't know what they are, but they're a local Iowa-based convenience store chain, I think around 1,200 stores. In small town Iowa, a lot of people want to do business with the local. This store has been there 3 generations, and although we're not the owner for 3 generations, just a year and a half or so, they want to see us succeed, and that's where the help comes from. You develop relationships. We're the only convenience store around that has tables off in an area for people to come in and have coffee, and it's the local coffee clubbers that I give the cup of coffee to for a quarter, kind of begrudgingly that they're getting that quarter coffee that really saved us. They kept us from spending $250,000, which there's no way we could have done that. And I guess in the very early days, you're thinking $250,000, and how's this going to work? But again, you just go through it, and everybody comes alongside you from the community, and I want to emphasize that I don't think Anamosa is unique to that. I think in Cedar Rapids or any other city, you have your unique customers surrounding that store that in a small business, the small business owner develops those relationships. I don't know if that's so much the case in the bigger chains, but in the small business owner where you're the owner-operator, you develop those relationships with those locals, and you become a part of their everyday life. You know their kids, you know what's going on in their life, they know what's going on in your life. And that's really what community is, and that's what needs to be saved. And what happens in those early days, I think, is crucial in helping make a determination. In our case, it was primarily, we put a couple of major suppliers with their agreement, ACH accounts. They agreed to not do anything for a while. That allowed us the cash to keep moving forward to get things done that needed to be done. But well, how much easier it would have been had we've had some assurances along the line from, somebody that the help will be there when you need it. And I guess that's kind of where we are now. We're at the point now we got to figure out how to pay for all this. We got to figure out how to put it all together financially. But it is a big deal in a small community. It really is. I mean, the people of Anamosa, this is big news. Cedar Rapids TV station met us at the airport 5 a.m. yesterday morning and did a live remote there for their 5 o'clock news, did a segment for later in the day, followed us, videotaping our bag as we're heading down to get on the airplane. It's a big deal to smaller communities.
Well, it sounds from all of your testimony like there's an enormous multiplier effect, because so many of these core anchor businesses in a small community are viewed as hope by the people who are going through their own crises in their personal lives when they lose their home and they wonder whether they're going to stay in a community. But if they see that convenience store or that grocery store or that bank reopen and say, we're staying here for the long haul, then that money that gets to them and provides that hope early on in a disaster helps rebuild the spirit of a community, and in some cases may determine whether a community thrives or dies. Mr. Monahan, you've had the experience, I'm sure, that not only are you dealing with your own business struggles from the devastating flooding in Cedar Rapids, but your client base in the downtown area includes many other small businesses, people who work and live in the downtown area. So I imagine you hear a lot from people in addition to just the specific needs of your own business in responding to this disaster. And if you could share with us how that's affected some of the business decisions you've made and how that interacts with the funding issues we've been talking about with SBA.
Sure. Well, it's just, I talked with the people that are involved in the reconstruction effort in the building, and just, they've volunteered to me that hands down, the first question that they're asked when they're approached by anybody on the street is the blue strawberry coming back, and that speaks volumes. And recently, a lot of the larger companies have moved into the second floor and above offices in the downtown area. And I just spoke with some last week, and they're lost. There are no services downtown right now, so it's a real, almost like a morgue down there at times. And it used to be such a a vibrant environment and atmosphere. You try not to let the emotions of and the ego enter into your business decision to go back into business, but obviously there's a lot of pride in what everyone here has done as a small business person and the end result, and it does play into your decision. And when you have all of these professional people and businesses in your downtown location really encouraging you to come back, it makes a difference. And the financial thing, I've at this point put my SBA loan on hold. I've decided not to take on additional debt. I am going to reopen, but it's going to be in a different form with additional investors, unless something comes along in the line of the forgivable or loan or grant. So.
Thank you. Mr. Pilkington, one of the things you